Guys, so right off the bat, I wanted to mention something. The technique that we were looking at last class, that near side armbar, we're again focused on reacting to what our opponent's giving us. Okay, I want us to just be clear that when I'm in the knee on belly, we're using this position primarily to act as a transitional spot, but also to open up our partner a little bit. Right? Let's imagine maybe I'm like in side mount and they're like really clammed up. Yeah, he's really clammed up, right? He doesn't really want to move. That's when I can use the knee on belly to start to force him to give me a little bit more stuff to work with. I don't want us to necessarily try to use these attacks if my partner is still stuffed up like this. I'm not going to expect anyone, regardless of how strong you are, to be able to pull someone's arms away from their body when they're isometrically strong and close to their body, right? Just keep your arms in tight there, Chris. So it doesn't matter how strong I am, I'm not pulling that arm away from his body. We want to have them move and we react. So again, what we looked at last class on Tuesday was them framing with the near side arm on our hip. As soon as he reaches out with that arm, I recognize that he's breaking the structure of this arm by straightening it. So that means I can come underneath and take advantage of that. Tonight, we're going to focus on the opposite reaction. And coincidentally, this is actually the more common of the two. However, it's a little bit more in-depth, which is why I wanted to start with that one on Tuesday, and then we'll do this one tonight, obviously. So tonight we're going to be focusing on when they're trying to push our knee off of their stomach. And like I said, this is way more common, but let's be very clear right up front. This is not a good reaction to a knee on belly. So what I mean is this. He's going to take his palm and he's going to place it right on my kneecap. This is not how we escape knee on belly because we're going to get armbarred, right? And that's what we're going to look at tonight. Okay, when we're using our escapes from knee on belly, we don't use the hand, we use the forearms and the elbows. We'll get into escapes next time later, right? But for right now, he's using the hand and he's making this mistake. Let's capitalize on this mistake and attack the far side armbar, sometimes also called a spinning armbar. I'd like to demonstrate it first, and then we'll go over a couple of key points for how it works. Okay, guys? So again, I'm in my knee on belly. Perhaps I got here out of the X-Pass. I notice that my partner's posting and trying to create this frame to push my knee off. Let's take a look at the spinning armbar. Here we go. Alrighty, guys, so we're attacking the far side arm in this case, the far side, referring to the distance between my body and his arms. This one is near. That's what we did last class. This one is far. So he's framing on my hip, or excuse me, on my knee right here. So just like we did last class, we're going to change this frame into a lever. Jiu-jitsu is just an art of frames and levers. When you boil it down, those are the two things that are the commonality between all positions and movements in jiu-jitsu. We have frames, we have levers. When I encounter a frame, I'm going to turn it into a lever. We're going to do the same movement we worked last class with getting the underhook and using the elbow to pop the hand off. But we're going to run into a little bit of a different problem tonight. While I can still get my underhook, I'm way too far away to be able to connect my hand to my collar to close that loop. So what that means is, after I get my arm underneath, I'm going to use my elbow to flare and pop his hand off as I bring his shoulder, or my shoulder rather, close to his elbow. So I'm not trying to do this and pick his arm up. Again, that's unrealistic, right? That's probably not going to happen. As soon as I come underneath, I'm simply going to start to pop my elbow up and bring his shoulder, his elbow rather, close to my shoulder here. Notice how I'm connecting these 2 points. His elbow, my shoulder. Nice and tight. Once I'm here, I have the opportunity to attack the armbar, but I have to get there first. So this is where we do the spinning part of a spinning armbar. I'm going to be taking my left leg, the kickstand, and I'm going to be stepping over his head. Before I do that, though, I want to get a little bit of base. Now, you can be mean about this, or you can be nice about this. I prefer us to work first on the mean version because that's just more efficient, but then you can be nice after you try it a couple times. So the mean version is this. Once I get this arm up, notice how I'm really pulling, getting him into me, creating some space on his back. I'm going to take my hand and frame on his face. I'm going to literally push his face down on the ground. This is giving me a point to pivot on, but it's also keeping his posture broken. So now I have 2 really good alignment breaks. I have a posture break and a structure break. Now that I'm here, I'm going to take that kickstand and step all the way with those left toes to his back. And I'm going to get to a position that should look pretty familiar. As I step around, I'm squatting down. This should look pretty familiar. It's the headquarters, okay? Once I'm squatting down here, I need to finish my rotation. To do that, I'm going to keep these toes hooked underneath his shoulder. So I like to tell people, keep your shoelaces under their back. Once I'm here, I'm going to connect myself to him in some way so that I can slow my descent. One of the biggest problems people have, and again, this harkens back to the reason that we don't show beginners so many submissions in this academy, is because a lot of times they'll learn a new submission and they'll just wildly go for it and they'll give up position. So a lot of times guys are just kind of like, rah, and just start like spinning, and it either ends up in them most commonly losing the position, worst case scenario, injuring their training partner, which that is like the worst thing you could possibly do. So we're here, I step over and I'm squatting. So to slow my descent, I'm going to take that left hand that's currently not doing anything, and I'm going to reach down and grab his belt. If he doesn't have a belt, we're going to grab the drawstring of the pants. Okay, I'm just going to stick my fingers in here. I'm going to grab it nice and tight. I'm just trying to connect myself to him, so it's like a bungee system. I'm going to kind of pull myself down slowly. So now, once I'm in this spot, I'm going to continue my rotation and sit down on the other side. Now at this point, if I need to, I can grab my own collar like we did on Tuesday. So if you liked that grip with holding the collar to close the loop, freeing up this hand, you can do it, but you can do it at the end here. Why? Maybe he has his hands connected, right? So if he has his hands connected, I'll go here and grab the pants to start to break the grip. Regardless though, we're not doing grip breaks. That was a all levels class on Tuesday. So once I'm here, now I'm just going to start to attack the armbar the same way that we did last class. So I'm going to start to grab his hand, pull it up to my shoulder. Once I'm in this position, I'm looking to create internal rotation of his shoulder as I clamp this knee down on the top of his shoulder. My left heel starts to drag his head towards me to break his posture. As I start to drop slowly to my side, I'm pulling his arm towards his pinky. Wherever his pinky's facing, that's where I'm pulling it, okay? Or pushing it, depending on how you like to kind of orient yourself here. So again, I'm pushing towards the pinky. As I do that, my hips are driving in towards the arm. I'm creating constant tension. We talked about braking mechanics last class, guys, so you can go back and reference the video of the last class. And I'll say this, I apologize, we had some audio issues for the last one, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But we talked a lot about braking mechanics last class. Again, the primary theme, the ingredients for all joint locks in jiu-jitsu are we're creating extension of a joint, creating rotation of a joint, and that's how we can create break. So let's rewind the tape. Let's look at this spinning armbar again from the top. So I'm in the knee on belly, yada, yada, yada. I pass, boom, here we are. He's framing. And guys, you might notice, and you can't quite see here with Mr. Chris, but when someone's framing on your hip, there's this beautiful loop right here. They're inviting us to get lever control on it. So we're taking that, okay? He's pushing on my knee, so I go underhook, like, again, Kali Ma, Indiana Jones, right? I'm stabbing him in the heart, boom, grab the shoulder, and look, my elbow comes up as I connect my shoulder to his elbow. That gets his hand off my knee, and that closes the space here. I post on his head. If I don't want to be mean, I'll just post on the ground. But as I post, I'm going to start to step over to the other side and just squat down right on top of him. I connect to him by grabbing the pants or the belt. I continue my rotation and sit. Once I'm here, I'm going to start to reach up, grab the hand, and make sure I'm always pulling towards the pinky as I start to fall back. I'll make a quick side note since we just encountered this. Notice how my foot is caught on this side of his arm. The keen of you may see that I can't use that foot to break his posture unless I bring it to the other side. Okay, that's a choice you'll make on the fly. If you need to, bring that foot over, okay? If it's dead to rights and this armbar is done, you don't have to. That's the good reason that we like to show so many little details and ingredients to help create efficient technique, because you can take them out when you don't need them, right? If I don't need to do this one thing because I know it's working, I can take it out, keep it in my back pocket, use it when I need it, all right? Let's stay in this position right here. We'll show it from the other angle. So I'm in knee on belly, he's pushing. I spin to the other side. Control, fall back, and finish. Let's see again from, we'll go from the rear here. Thank you. Head facing that way for me, Chris. Perfect, thanks, bud. So knee on belly, he's pushing. I go underhook, flare, bring it up. I'm keeping head pressure here, keep his posture broken. Guys, if I'm too heavy on him, I'm actually fighting myself. If I'm driving this knee too hard, I can't actually pull him into me. So look, I'm gonna ease up a little bit as I pull him in. I'm inviting him to come towards me. I step over and sit. Notice the belt control here, slows my descent, keeps us connected. Once I'm in this position, walk up, finish your armbar. I'll show one more time without talking. Here we go. Let's go ahead to the audience. Here you go. Okay, guys, does anyone need to see it again? All right, so take your time. I'm gonna say this last thing, guys, just a safety tip, safety concern. This is one of the few techniques that I have injured myself doing just by demonstrating it, okay? And I'll tell you exactly what I did so you don't make the same mistake, okay? Because it was a mistake that I made. When I did this, I was just demonstrating it, I was just showing it to people. I broke my toe, and the way that I broke my toe is that I was keeping a lazy foot as I was stepping around. So I came here, I brought him in, and then as I threw this foot around, I wasn't ready with active toes. So basically, I just let my foot fold underneath me on my big toe like that, and my whole body weight dropped back onto my big toe. So don't do that, right? Active toes, post, squat first, and then just finish your rotation. So thank you, Chris. If I go pantomime real quick here, guys, if I'm like thinking about like a clock face, I find that helps for me. I'm moving clockwise. Starting at 12 o'clock, you know, I pull them in, I post, I turn around, I'm facing 6 o'clock. I grab the belt to finish, I'll turn to 9 o'clock here, boom, and I'm done, okay? Let's work this, guys, nice and slow. On two, 1, 2. All right, does anybody have any questions? So I'd like to go over some common challenges that I was noticing. A good rule of thumb for me, at least, is when I see students make the same mistake 3 times, I just assume everyone's making that mistake. So we're just gonna go over that, all right? So one of the biggest mistakes that I saw people making was that when they were taking that step over the head, they were dropping onto their thigh as opposed to sitting flat onto their butt. So it would look like this, you know, the beginning was here, and then they went here, and they just kind of dropped onto their thigh. So we need to understand that we're going from the knee on belly to the armbar control position, okay? When we teach submissions, we teach them in a positional control system first. So what that means is, and this is what we've been working on in our all levels class this month, we go over how do I control the armbar first from here, right? This is my goal. Get here, control the armbar, and then finish. So a lot of you are skipping the most important part of the armbar, which is the armbar control position. I'm not gonna armbar guys if I don't know how to control them from right here. So I'm getting there by doing the step over. So I underhook. I saw this a couple times, guys. We were here, and we just tried to pull them. Remember, he has a frame on me. If they have a frame on us, we've got to get it off, okay? So I'm using my elbow to flare, lift his hand off of my knee. So I come under here, I lift and flare. I'm bringing my knee close to my body, but the easiest way for me to think about it is I'm bringing my shoulder to his elbow. Okay, this is creating a really tight connection. So I post, I'm gonna step over and squat. Okay, a lot of us are getting a little hasty. Okay, understandable, submissions are fun. But I wanna squat here first. Again, get that connection. Okay, because I can do other stuff from here, guys, right? I can switch arms for Kimura. I can look for chair sit back take, right? So take your time, control, and now look, I rotate here. See how my toes are already curled underneath? Can you see that? My toes are already curled underneath, so I'm keeping that shoulder slightly elevated with that foot. I have my hook on his elbow, and I'm here. I'm gonna stop in this position. Let's slide back towards the, towards the TV. Thank you. So I'm gonna stop in this position, guys, because this is what we call the armbar control position, right? If I just fly through this, especially when I'm drilling, we develop the bad habit of feeling like we don't need to be here, and we are always gonna lose the armbar. I can't tell you how many times people learn 1,000 different armbar variations, and then they try to do armbars, and they're like, Coach, armbars aren't real, they don't exist, I can't do them. It's not because you don't know how to do an armbar, it's that you're not paying attention to the armbar control position. Okay, so once I'm here, this is where I can sort of, it's like headquarters. This is where I can kind of make my plays, right? I can start to create the adjustments, create the pinch, start to, you know, finish the arm bar on my terms. The other thing that I was noticing, guys, is that a lot of us were still grabbing around the wrist, okay? So this is not inherently wrong. You'll finish a lot of arm bars by grabbing the wrist, but you're gonna have a lot easier of a time finishing arm bars if we're grabbing the hand. So in the kids class, we call it a taco grip, okay? Because if you look at Chris's hand right now, when I grab it, I'm folding it like a taco. See that? So I'm breaking the structure of his hand, which is gonna make it much more difficult for him to start to move his elbow, provided that I'm pulling his arm, okay? This alone doesn't necessarily stop him from moving his elbow. It's this combined with extension, okay? So once I'm in this spot, make sure that we're really grabbing right below the 4 knuckles. We're not allowed to grab individual digits in jiu-jitsu, and I'd prefer us to not train grabbing the 4 digits just because that can be a slippery slope, right? If you're kind of too quick with it, you might accidentally pull on some fingers badly. So just aim for the knuckles, right? Just like this. And again, I'm holding 2 on 1, I start to fall back. So if that helps you, just think taco grip, you know what I mean? Taco grip. Once you start to get comfortable with that transition of squatting down here with the arm control in the belt and then sitting to your butt, then you can start to smooth out the edges and kind of combine it all together. Okay, so what I mean is, once I feel comfortable essentially being robotic step by step like that, then we'll kind of make it a little bit more free, just a nice spin. So once I feel comfortable, then I can come in, boom, and fall back here. But notice how when I land, I'm still in that armbar control position. I'm not here with my thigh on the ground. I'm stopped right here, just like this. Okay, come up, grab the hand, pull towards the pinky. So I want us to slow it down a little bit so that we hit all those pieces. And then once you do that successfully a few times, then smooth out the edges and go faster and faster through it. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on this? All right, guys, so let's get one more round practicing this spinning armbar, okay? This is one of my probably highest percentage submissions, is the spinning armbar just like this. So I really, really like this one, so I hope you guys like it too. Let's get to work. 1, 2.